You know that girl in high school everyone whispered about? The one with bleached hair who skipped classes and had a reputation that made other students cross the street just to avoid her? Well, what if I told you that sometimes the most broken-looking people are just waiting for someone to see past their walls? And what if I told you that one simple act of kindness on a rainy day could completely rewrite two people's destinies? This is the story of how I met the so-called bad girl of our school, and how everything I thought I knew about people, love, and second chances got turned completely upside down. Picture this. It's pouring rain, and I'm walking out of school with my umbrella, just another ordinary Tuesday. Most students are hurrying to their cars or buses, trying to stay dry. But there, crouched against the wall in a corner by the school gate, is this girl I recognize from the rumors. Willow from grade 11, class 3. The girl everyone called Trouble. Her ashy white dyed hair is soaked, her uniform is drenched, and she's just sitting there like she's given up on the world. Now, I'd heard all the stories about her. The hair dyeing, the class skipping, hanging out with thugs from outside school. Some people even whispered she'd had an abortion. Every stereotype you could stick on a rebellious teenager had somehow landed on her. But seeing her there, looking so lost and vulnerable in the rain, something inside me just couldn't walk away. Maybe it was curiosity, maybe it was compassion, or maybe it was just basic human decency. I walked over and asked if she needed help. When she looked up at me, I swear time stopped. This girl who everyone painted as some kind of delinquent had the most stunning face I'd ever seen. Delicate features, questioning eyes framed by long lashes, and despite the rain and her obvious distress, there was something breathtakingly beautiful about her. But more than that, there was this unmistakable look of being completely lost. She seemed surprised that anyone was even talking to her. Her voice had this edge of impatience, like she was used to people either avoiding her or bothering her for the wrong reasons. But when I offered to share my umbrella and walk her home, something in her expression shifted. For just a moment, I saw past that tough exterior to something vulnerable underneath. Here's where it gets interesting. She told me she couldn't go home because she'd forgotten her keys. But then, with this boldness that caught me completely off guard, she asked if she could hide out at my place instead. Now, any rational person would probably think twice about bringing home the school's most notorious bad girl, right? Especially since I lived alone while my parents worked overseas. But looking at her face in that moment, with raindrops clinging to her lashes and this mix of hope and fear in her eyes, I couldn't say no. So I took her home with me. Walking back together under my umbrella, I started to see glimpses of who she really was beneath all those rumors. She was witty, she was smart, and despite everything people said about her, there was something genuinely sweet about her personality. The way other students literally stepped aside to avoid us when they saw her walking with me made me realize just how isolated she'd been. When we got to my apartment, she took a shower and borrowed some of my clothes. Seeing her in my oversized shirt, with her damp hair and that softer expression, was like seeing a completely different person. This wasn't the rebel everyone talked about. This was just a girl who'd been dealt some rough cards and was doing her best to survive. That night, while I was doing homework, she asked if she could stay one more day. The way she said it, with this vulnerability she was clearly trying to hide, made it impossible to refuse. And that's when she made me an offer that changed everything. From today on, I'll protect you. The next day at school was when things really got interesting. Walking in together, we drew stares and whispers from everyone. But Willow seemed completely unfazed by the attention. If anything, she seemed to enjoy having someone willing to be seen with her. My desk mate immediately pulled me aside with warnings about her reputation. He told me about rumors of her dating thugs, about the supposed abortion, about how she was filthy and would get together with any guy. Hearing someone talk about her like that made my chest tight with anger, but I kept quiet. I was already starting to realize that the girl I was getting to know bore no resemblance to the stories people told. But the real test came that afternoon when we ran into those thugs everyone said she hung around with. Turns out, Willow had gotten desperate enough for money to trick some street criminals out of $800 by promising something she had no intention of delivering. Now, they wanted payback. Standing there with these dangerous guys blocking our path, talking about what they planned to do to her, I felt something I'd never experienced before. This protective instinct just kicked in, and before I knew it, I was stepping in front of her, ready to fight guys twice my size just to keep her safe. What happened next showed me exactly who Willow really was. When I told her to run and call for help while I held them off, she didn't abandon me. Even when I was getting beat up, she stayed and tried to help. That's when I knew everything people said about her was wrong. After security guards scared off the thugs and we made it home safely, Willow finally told me the truth about her situation. She hadn't forgotten her keys at all. She'd been kicked out of her home and had been homeless for half a month. Living with her aunt and uncle since childhood, she'd been tolerated as long as her parents sent money. But when her parents disappeared and the money stopped coming, she became a burden they no longer wanted to carry. With no money and nowhere to go, she resorted to tricking those thugs out of cash just to eat. The desperation in her voice when she explained this, the shame she felt for what she'd had to do to survive, broke something inside me. This wasn't some delinquent choosing to be bad. This was a girl who'd been abandoned by everyone who was supposed to care for her, doing whatever it took to survive. That's when I made a decision that would change both our lives. I told her she could stay with me permanently, not as charity, but as her home. The only condition was that she had to start studying seriously and work toward getting her grades up. You should have seen her face when I said that. This mix of disbelief, gratitude, and determination that told me she was ready to fight for a better life if someone would just give her the chance. The first thing we did was dye her hair back to black. I wanted her to see herself the way I was starting to see her, not as some rebel trying to shock people, but as the naturally beautiful, intelligent person she really was. When she walked into school the next day with her natural black hair and that fresh, delicate beauty, even I was stunned by the transformation. But of course, changing your appearance doesn't immediately change people's perceptions. The very next day, the class monitor Diego publicly accused her of stealing the class fund. Standing there in front of the entire class, trying to search her without any evidence, treating her like she was guilty just because of her reputation, I'd never been so angry in my life. That's when I stood up for her in a way that shocked everyone, including myself. I marched into that classroom and demanded proof. I told them I could verify exactly where Willow had been and what she'd been doing. I challenged them to check the security cameras and threatened to involve the police if they were wrong. The whole thing turned out exactly as I expected. The money wasn't stolen at all. It was with another student who'd been handling class purchases. Diego had to apologize to Willow in front of the entire school during the morning assembly. Watching him bow and publicly admit he'd been wrong was satisfying, but more importantly, it started to clear Willow's name. From that point on, something beautiful began to happen. As Willow started studying seriously and her grades improved dramatically, people's attitudes toward her began to shift. It's amazing how quickly rumors die when they're consistently contradicted by reality. She went from being at the very bottom of her class to ranking in the top 20 within a single month. When people accused her of cheating, she just kept proving them wrong with consistent performance. By our final year of high school, she was consistently ranking in the top 15. But the changes weren't just academic. As her confidence grew and she started believing in herself, her natural personality began to shine through. She was funny, she was kind, and she had this fierce loyalty to the people she cared about. Teachers who had written her off began to see her potential. Students who had avoided her started treating her with respect. And somewhere in all of this, something else began to develop between us. Living together, studying together, facing challenges together, we formed a bond that went deeper than friendship. The way she looked at me when she thought I wasn't watching, the way my heart raced when she smiled, the protectiveness we felt for each other, it was obvious to everyone around us what was happening. The confession came suddenly, like everything else with Willow. After celebrating another improved test score, she just looked at me and said, "Let's date." Just like that. Direct, honest, and completely her. But I surprised both of us by asking her to wait. Not because I didn't want to be with her, by then I was completely head over heels, but because I wanted to do things right. I told her we should wait until after the college entrance exams to make it official. I didn't want our feelings to interfere with her incredible academic progress, and honestly, I wanted our relationship to have the solid foundation it deserved. The wait was worth it. When we finally took our college entrance exams and both got accepted to the same university, our first kiss in the rain outside the testing center felt like the beginning of everything. College was where Willow truly began to shine. Away from all the old rumors and preconceptions, she was free to be exactly who she was meant to be. She excelled academically, won competitions, and was even voted one of the top 10 campus beauties. But the most amazing thing was watching her use her experiences to fuel her passion for justice. She chose to study law, and she threw herself into it with the same determination she'd brought to everything else once she decided to change her life. She became the kind of student who not only excelled in classes, but genuinely understood the power of the legal system to protect people who couldn't protect themselves. Of course, having a girlfriend who was both brilliant and beautiful came with its own challenges. There were always guys trying to get her attention, sending gifts, leaving love letters. But Willow handled all of it with grace, making it clear that she was completely devoted to our relationship. One particular senior became especially persistent, even going so far as to publicly challenge me on the school forum, claiming that if I couldn't outperform him in a provincial competition, I wasn't worthy of her. It was juvenile and attention-seeking, but Willow's response was perfect. She publicly shut him down, making it clear that no achievement could make him worthy of interfering in our relationship. When the competition came, I didn't just beat him, I dominated the entire field. My mechanical design invention caught the attention of investors and launched my career as an engineer and entrepreneur. By our junior year, I owned a successful factory producing innovative mechanical components. But success brought new challenges. When my factory was deliberately set on fire, an act of sabotage by that same persistent senior who had started his own competing company, it was Willow who stepped up to protect me. By then, she was working for a prestigious law firm in Beijing, already licensed and handling major cases despite being so young. She flew back immediately, assembled a legal team, and systematically built the case that not only proved the arson was deliberate, but traced it back to the person who ordered it. Watching her work, seeing her command a courtroom with the same confidence and determination she'd brought to overcoming every other challenge in her life, I realized something profound. The girl who had once needed protection had become someone who could protect others. The student everyone had written off had become someone who could fight for justice. The senior who tried to destroy my business ended up serving 3 years in prison. Willow's handling of the case launched her reputation as a formidable attorney. And when she presented me with the legal fees from the case, 8 crisp $100 bills, she smiled and said, "I told you I'd pay you back through proper means." But then her expression grew serious, and she said something that showed me just how much she'd always understood about everything I'd done for her, including things I thought she'd never discovered. "Thank you for everything you've done for me, including the things you thought I didn't know about." She knew. She'd always known about the strings I'd pulled, the problems I'd quietly solved, the ways I'd tried to protect her even when she was becoming strong enough to protect herself. And instead of being upset about it, she was grateful. Looking back now, I realize the story isn't just about a bad girl who turned out to be good, or about love conquering all, or even about giving people second chances. It's about seeing people for who they really are instead of who everyone says they are. Willow was never the person those rumors described. She was someone who'd been dealt terrible circumstances and was doing whatever it took to survive. When someone finally saw past the defense mechanisms and gave her a real opportunity to succeed, she grabbed it with both hands and never looked back. But this story changed me too. I learned that sometimes the most important thing you can do is simply show up for someone when everyone else is turned away. That sharing your umbrella on a rainy day might seem like nothing to you, but it could be everything to someone else. I learned that real love isn't about finding someone perfect. It's about seeing someone's potential and being willing to stand by them while they grow into it. It's about protecting each other, challenging each other, and building something together that's stronger than either of you could be alone. And I learned that people's opinions and rumors and social reputations matter a lot less than you think they do when you're in high school. The girl everyone said was trouble became the most accomplished, beautiful, successful person I know. The relationship everyone said would never work became the foundation of both our lives. Today, Willow is a successful attorney known for taking on cases that protect people who can't protect themselves. My engineering company has grown beyond what I ever imagined possible. We built our lives together, supporting each other's dreams and celebrating each other's successes. But more than any of that professional success, what I'm most proud of is the life we've created together. We're proof that sometimes the most unlikely beginnings can lead to the most beautiful endings. So the next time you see someone sitting alone in the rain, looking like they've given up on the world, maybe consider stopping to help. You never know whose life you might change, or how much they might end up changing yours in return. And if you've ever been that person sitting in the rain, written off by everyone around you, remember Willow's story. Remember that other people's opinions about who you are don't have to define your future. With the right support and your own determination, you can rewrite your entire story. Sometimes all it takes is one person willing to share their umbrella, and everything can change. If this story moved you, hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible real-life stories about love, second chances, and the power of believing in people when everyone else has given up on them. And drop a comment letting me know about a time when someone's kindness completely changed your perspective on life. I read every single one, and your story might just inspire our next video.